hate speech or freedom of speech? So who is Kyrie Irving? Kyrie Irving is a very well-known basketball superstar. He played on the 2010 to 2011 Duke basketball team. He had an outstanding performance as a freshman, scoring on average 17.5 points and helping lead his team to the Sweet 16. His accomplishments as a freshman helped him become the #1 overall draft pick in the 2011 NBA draft. He was selected by the Cleveland Cavaliers. His time on the team is best highlighted by his 2016 playoff and finals run and win with superstar teammate LeBron James. He was later traded to the Boston Celtics, and after that to the Brooklyn Nets, from which his controversy stems from, and he now currently plays on the Dallas Mavericks. Now let's take a look at what he actually did. In September of 2022, Kyrie posted a video on Twitter, now known as X, of well-known controversial political speaker and conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. In this video, Alex Jones claims that secret societies or occults ran the world. Now, he did not specifically state that Jewish people were the root cause, but he did imply that the Jewish community was involved in controlling global politics and economics. Now, in October of the same year, he promoted a cover art and reference link for the film Wake Up Black America. The film states that Africans are the original Israelites, and that the Jewish community and people stole that label for them as the descendants of Israel. Now, his controversial comments were met with harsh backlash, and they are main reason for the question: should Kyrie be banned from the NBA? Now, this case has a lot of elements to look into. There's a lot of context and background needed into seeing what punishment would be fit for Kyrie Irving in his situation. Now, the NBA has a lot of examples to go by, past and present, into looking into what would be a rightful punishment for Kyrie Irving for his hateful comments. Now let's analyze parts of the situation to help create a justified opinion on the correct punishment that Kyrie should have received. Now, obviously, Irving's tweets showed major disrespect and disdain towards the Jewish people, culture, and mostly their history. Kyrie Irving is a major influence, especially in the younger generation. He is a household name with millions of jersey sales and millions of fans across the globe. But let's keep in mind that the NBA is not new at all to controversy, especially in politics. Recently, they've been known for their controversy in Chinese politics and for players and staff speaking out over human rights. The final part to look into is the inconsistent punishment for players. There are multiple examples, people who have done more, people who have done less, and received unjustified punishments relative to their transgression. Now, here are 3 modern-day examples of players who have been banned or suspended. Let's take a look at the first example, Jontay Porter. Jontay Porter went undrafted in the 2019 NBA draft, but his time in the NBA was ended in April of 2024, where he was banned for life for sports betting on games. Now, he would place bets, intentionally underperform in games, and notify sports bettors of his health status. This was all to rig games in order for sports bettors to gain an advantage. Now, it is obvious to say that him gambling is a lot more ethically correct than Kyrie stating those comments over or about a certain community, but it is more understandable why the NBA would ban him for life, as his actions directly affected NBA games and the authenticity of the league and the outcomes of the games. Let's look at Miles Bridges. He was drafted in 2018 and currently is playing on the Charlotte Hornets. In November of 2022, he faced assault charges against his girlfriend. This case was very public and spread all over the media, especially after the pictures of his now ex-girlfriend were released, showing that it was a pretty hostile attack. Now, he was only suspended 30 games for this. And while Kyrie was suspended for only 8 games, it is safe to say that Miles Bridges his case was a lot worse than Kyrie's, ethically and morally. Now let's take a look at O.J. Mayo. O.J. Mayo was selected in the top 3 of the 2008 NBA draft. In 2016, he was banned 2 years for violating drug policy. He tested positive for marijuana. Now it's safe to say that his case is a lot better than Kyrie's, but it is justifiable, and it must be said that the NBA's policies were a lot different back then in 2016 than they are now. So it is justifiable that he would be warranted a 2-year ban because of the league's rules back then. But still, his case is a lot better than Kyrie's ethically, and he was banned for 2 years while Kyrie was only banned for 8 games. Now there's one more example I'd like to go into, and I believe this example has the most correlation to Kyrie in the situation. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf, formerly known as Chris Jackson, was the 3rd pick in the 1990 NBA draft. He was selected by the Denver Nuggets. He was a great player and a one-of-a-kind shooter whose play style transcended his era. His standout season was in 1995 to 1996, where he led the Denver Nuggets with 19 points per game. This season was also the time of where his controversy arose. During this year, he would sit for the national anthem. When being discovered and later asked by media, he stated that the American flag stood for oppression and tyranny. After his comments, he was met with a 1-game suspension, but then later met a compromise with the NBA, where he, instead of sitting, he would stand, bow his head, and close his eyes while reciting an Islamic prayer. After his controversy, he saw his role in the league diminish. Even after being the leading scorer on the team, he was delegated to a bench role in the concurrent year, and later traded that same season to the Sacramento Kings, where he was still a productive player, becoming the 2nd leading scorer, but still after he would be led to a diminished role with dwindled minutes and a reduced role on the team. Now the similarity between him and Kyrie Irving is that they were both standing for what they believed in. But Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf was standing for proven injustice in America against people of his culture, while Kyrie Irving was standing for unproven, harmful conspiracies that can be led to having hateful speech towards Jewish people. Ultimately, I do not believe that Kyrie Irving should be banned from the NBA. While I do believe that his actions should have been met with harsher consequences, I also believe that since he has separated himself from the radicalism of his comments, and that he has isolated himself from the harmful aspects of his statements. Let's read his apology to Jewish communities. To all Jewish families and communities that are hurt and affected from my post, I am deeply sorry to have caused you pain, and I apologized. While I do believe that Kyrie's freedom of speech plays a role in this case, I also believe that the NBA is responsible for players and stopping and monitoring their expression of hate towards communities.